but I think things got dropped. It's a really tight crowd, so it's very possible that my device got bumped in trying to move around the crowd, and I got knocked off the air for a second. So I actually don't know how much you just missed, but what I was trying to start to say was that there is pretty good compliance with wearing masks or whatever that's worth. Proud Boy Group is coming through. Proud Boy Group, and they're very visible that they're Proud Boys. The Saddle Police Officers Guild did ask that people not identify their political affiliations in the invite. I'm just calling, you're seeing it, I'm seeing it, I'm just narrating, mostly because the music is playing, and if I don't talk over the music, the feed gets knocked out. So, not exactly, I know it's not ideal for you, but the internet gods are gonna go, oh wow, he's playing disc jockey when I'm not playing disc jockey. And there'll probably be a long line of complaints from YouTube in particular on the YouTube feed about, hey, you've got this song and that song playing. So I'm waiting for the next speaker. I would presume there'll be another speaker. Right now with the music playing, I'd love to interview some people, but I have a feeling we're just going to be screaming at each other, not in a negative sense, but I think we'll be screaming at each other and just trying to scream over the music and doing an interview. So we're just going to kind of hold off. It's funny, I think there's a couple of people, I had a couple of real dirty looks from some of the Proud Boys who went by. I don't know if anybody noticed that. So I watch for a big fight. They might have questions. I'm just in my normal street clothes here because I want to have to just move around to be able to tell you the story. So earlier, well, I know it dropped earlier. Wasn't anything happened here. It wasn't anything here. I actually don't know. I have like cold here today. Anyway, it's possible, every feed drops. The other possibility is there was a point, it was just a really tight crowd. A couple of people bumped into me, I bumped into a couple of people. It's possible the device got bumped and I was just knocked off the air. So nobody like, oh my God, they got the malcontent. No, they didn't. We're here because trying to show both sides of the story. So again, I have to just keep yakking while the music's playing or the feed gets knocked off, because the Facebook gods, they know the difference. And the YouTube gods, the Facebook gods are the worst. Twitch is pretty good. YouTube, it's just marginally better than Facebook. I actually want to stand right where you were at. I mean, the other thing is that I'm getting some shots for the project. So occasionally, this is going to be one of those situations where you may be like, why is he just staring at something for... And it's because I'm working on getting different shots. So... bear with me here. got real quiet, I was doing a bunch of adjustments on the camera. So it is an interesting sign. If the music wasn't playing so loud, I actually would interview this woman. I have a feeling she'd be interested in talking, but it's probably going to be really, really hard to hear her, hear me, and I just have a feeling we're going to be like screaming at each other. So I don't mind music, it just makes streaming and interviewing a hell of a lot harder. If it were my call, basically at any of these events, regardless, if it were my call, it'd be like, hey, turn it down 10 decibels. That's just me. It's a great song. Get up here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mute the microphone. It's got nothing to do with anything going on here. I just don't want to get the feed knocked off, so I'm going to mute. I'm going to try and mute. All right, so I'm up on the rail, and the music stopped just for a second, so I've unmuted the mic. Again, if you're just coming back, I muted the mic because the feed gets killed if they hear the music going. It sounds like the music has stopped, so I've gotten into a great spot. I really appreciate it. The guy was very, very kind and moved for me so I could get a couple of shots.
How about that crowd? How about that crowd? We hear you, and what are you chanting? I'm hearing SPD, 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 SPD. Keep it going. SPD, SPD, SPD. I can't hear you! SPD, 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 SPD. You hear it? SPD,
Well, I'm really curious why the Boy Scouts are here. I'm still continuing to do a walk around just so you can get an idea of the size and the scale. This is one of the reasons I like having pole cam, because pole cam kind of shows the the spread out. But as I said, this isn't like to could have probably worked my way past that woman on that side that we were showing earlier. Excuse me.
I think there's a lot of meaning behind it. I can't explain it perfectly. It represents a simpler law between order and chaos.
Is anybody going to ask about the backpacks? Is anyone going to ask about that? Or is that just a one-way question? I'm just curious on the people that comment. What's in the backpacks, right? Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not what we buy. I don't know. What's in the backpacks? What's in the man bag? Oh, another backpack. Scared. You guys crack me up with the comments. Oh my goodness. I literally just tried to move away from...
That to me is unacceptable in a city our size. How can it be reasonable to defund us, which would fire?
I know the stats on the back of this sign are
What will that do to our safety across
one of the
this great
stats I know
city?
is wrong.
You are saying no more to defunding. Your voice is being heard.
Interesting.
Without further ado,
I'm going to send Laura one of these. I don't know.
And I will go and show the other side. Okay. You know what? I think the music stopped. I was literally coming in. There's a dude playing music. And I would love to talk to this woman. I have a feeling. Can I talk to you for a minute on camera? Is that okay? Or
Oh man.
what's that?
without
I hate
further
talking on
ado,
camera. I'll do my best.
All right.
guest speaker
Well,
is somebody that wrote
I'm
an
going to ask
article
just
recently
one
in a
real quick
blog
question because
post.
they're getting ready to start with the speakers.
Fantastic member of this community.
All right,
And
we're
I thought
rolling.
his message
Just tell me a little bit about
needed
your
to be
side.
heard
You know
by the
what
reasonable
you.
Well, I think it's pretty
majority.
self-explanatory.
Yeah, but I'd like to hear it in your
Please put your
words,
hands
if that's
together for
okay.
Fast.
My
Please.
dad was LAPD 30 years.
Okay.
My father was LAPD 30 years.
Okay. And that's really just what it boils down to, or? No, go ahead, keep going.
Well, I can talk about camera,
Thank you very
but
much.
I'm in support of the police officers.
My name is
And there are bad
I'm a
cops, but the
meteorologist.
majority are good, and we need to support
my
them now more than
expertise
ever.
is
Now's
in
not the time to,
prediction.
to put them to the side. We need to stand, as you can see, everybody else
know that
agrees.
even harsh
I may come back. I want to get this. I want to get the speaker. There was a pause, and I actually wanted to talk to you when I came down and someone was playing music. And the problem is when music is playing, the beat gets knocked off. So then I had to walk away, and now they're walking up to the music again. So okay.
will not be the low and Windermere,
Oh man,
the
Bruce.
Highland,
Bruce does
and
not like
Broadmoor
his
that
music
will
being
suffer
played.
the most from the weakening of the protective shield of the Seattle Police Department.
I am
For our
trying to get to where you can
neighbors
hear
and
and
the
see the
least
speakers.
advantaged communities. Seattle is suffering a lack of responsible leadership.
It's in this city.
Judgment, patience, and foresight leads to governing large and complex
city council is compounded by a mayor that is often unwilling to stand up to the mobs.
Yeah.
It is unbelievably ironic that many of those pushing today for Seattle Police Department defunding were calling for increases of the Seattle Police Department only a year ago. But like the most insubstantial feathers, they immediately reversed direction as the political wind shifted, modifying their stance to secure political advantage. And while they were following those political winds, they have mismanaged Seattle. Homelessness is out of control. Roads are poorly maintained. Our bridges are decayed. Criminals are released without review. And tremendous financial waste is apparent in our city. Public safety is one element in the complex web of the city. And improvement in each element depends on the other and cannot be done in isolation. Only careful, data-driven, and collaborative policy.
I don't know if someone's just moving signs or trying to block the camera, so I'm just doing framing up a little better for you. That's
not simplistic, slogan-driven, and thoughtless slashing of one city department. Such behavior is characteristic of too many city council members, and is both reckless and irresponsible. Now I have a message for the people across the street, so they might listen for a second. The drive to cut Seattle Police Department began with the George Floyd tragedy and reflects concern about an inappropriate police response. I do not think a single member of this group, and particularly the uniformed officers, would question the importance of investigating and preventing such events. But knee-jerk, thoughtless proposals like those presented from the City Council are not constructive and will hurt the people that they are supposedly trying to protect. I believe that a majority in this city, many of them quiet or silent, though that's not true of this group, have great respect for the Seattle Police Department. Uniformed officers take great risks, are placed in difficult and stressful situations, and provide an umbrella of safety that enables this city to function. And now these officers face the most pointed and outrageous attacks, compounded with threats to their jobs. Let me end by saying that no one should doubt what I'm about to say. We, the people of Seattle, are with you, the Seattle Police Department. As you are with us. Thank you very much. Applause again.
That was Cliff Mass who was speaking. Cliff Mass. Anthony, I'm shooting with the Z6. If you're watching, Anthony, I'm shooting with the Z6. So I'm getting your video. tuning in. We're in Seattle. We're at the Seattle Police Officers Guild rally at City Hall. We are broadcasting live. We are broadcasting live on Twitter, YouTube, Periscope. I'm sorry, not Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Periscope. Periscope, aka. Speakers again. The Microsoft is taken away, so I suspect there will be another speaker, but not like in the next minute or two. So what I'm going to do then is, as long as we don't start the music up again, we'll see if we can find somebody to interview. Honestly, I would interview. I would interview one of the Proud Boys. And like, I'll go back. Like my Occupy days, they're starting music up again. I'll just close this, and then Beck's another one, like instant ban or instant mute. Anyway, what is it? Occupy. I talk with people in the Tea Party on the far right. I talk to anarchists, not black market, but anarchists. I am a firm believer that education and educating yourself on positions and understanding people's point of view helps paint a broad picture, and that if you think it's binary, that you don't get the full picture. I think people know where I stand and my views on that based on what I've witnessed firsthand and recorded in the last 10 and 11 weeks.
Yes, Jesus came into the world to save sinners. That was the life of Jesus.
Hey, it's Grace Roof Cleaning is here. Normally I hate giving this guy a platform, but he was thrown out of the last and he was kind of hassled by some protesters of the political right. If people are looking at that going, no, that's not true. Oh, it's very true. I have the video up of it. If another speaker starts, what the cheering is for is SPD bicycle officers have arrived. I'm actually going to go across the firewall, and I'm going to go over on the other side.
Carrying a sign or wearing clothing that most of the counter-protest groups are wearing, and you're a counter-protest. I can only draw.
Thank you. Hold on, the bike. Hang on, Mike. I'm waiting for the bicycle.
Yeah. That's just SPD. There's I basically was just about ready to step in front of a bicycle, so that's all it was. Because I wasn't looking in the direction I was walking. SPD bike officers have arrived. So, I mean, right now in the spicy factor, I think the spicy factor is maybe 3. We're just going to come on over here. I'm going to go behind.
Whose life matter? Whose life matter?
The other thing is that this moves me away from the music. There we go. Well, I know Fleetwood Mac would not approve of this song being used. Fleetwood Mac basically has to cease and desist on like basically using this song at any protest. It's kind of bizarre to me from an intellectual property standpoint. Like Bruce Springsteen is a complete no-go. They were playing that earlier. The cynic in me goes, oh, this is purely intentional. Damn. I have this terrible feeling that I didn't have audio in the Plymouth match.
We are the Northern Jordan. Please go to stopthefunding.com, sign the petition, pass it along, friends and family. Without further ado, I want to introduce you to a radio personality and member of the community here. That is a proud supporter of police. It's my honor to introduce you to John Carlson.
Mike Solon needs to explain why he's committed voter fraud for the last 16 years, as reported by Sinclair Communication, Tomo TV. This is Jesus, dude.
Appreciation.
There's Jesus, dude.
It's about gratitude.
Jesus, dude's got some people following him.
We support the flag. We support the
It's about freedom. Let's put a hand for the Seattle Police Department, the men and women who keep all And by the way, thank many of you for listening to my morning show on 570 KVI. I want to bring on another great guy, another great broadcaster who's really been in there telling the truth. It's my pleasure to introduce
This is here to pretend. Yes. These people are frauds on both sides. Both you people. You're fake and they're fake. Both sides are fake. You people are inherently retarded. You have no idea what the fuck you're doing. It's a herd mentality, and the only real thing down here is being mean. People are joining me.
And what I want you to do right now, is a little bit of an exercise. Take 5 seconds. Just look around real quick.
Always brings out the colorful people, that's for sure.
Turn around for a second. Not too many of them. This
different than you blame your people, yet they're using an antagonizing tactic.
If this council decides to provide 50% or gets
I'm actually in a really sketchy spot, so this is going to be a short stunt, because I'm literally between the protesters and the counter-protesters, both groups of protesters.
Someone's never going to change her mind. She's not. Lorena Gonzalez and Teresa Mosqueda, they're not going to change their mind. However, we do have some people on that council who, when they asked for our vote, said that they supported police, said they wanted more officers, not less, and all of a sudden, because a few dozen of those people decide to show up outside their homes, all of a sudden they're saying, oh, well, I guess we're not going to police. Let us remind Andrew Lewis, Dan Strauss, and Sir Purple exactly what they promised each and every one of us when they were running for re-election. And for Strauss and Andrew Lewis to get that first position there, they told us they wanted more cops. The idea that we would cut the navigation team at a time where homelessness is getting worse is unconscionable. That we would dare go after the SWAT team is disturbing. We need to stand up for every single officer in this city, in this region, because they put on that uniform every single day, leaving them home.
I think a guy wants me to talk to him.
They might not come home, but
It might be a little hard to hear him, but we'll see.
Trump 2020! Trump 2020!
I would tell her it's really not smart to walk through between the two groups of protesters, but my experience is she's not going to listen. Can I talk to you for a minute or two? Is that okay? I saw you kind of gave me the look, so I was, okay. Oh, okay. We're gonna have to yell. Exactly. I said we're gonna have to yell because it's loud. You don't have to. It's all. What's that? All right. So it's just you or no? It's no. Okay. Fair enough. Well, I tried. I think he really did want to talk. She doesn't want to talk. It's fine. Introvert, extrovert. What's interesting to me is much bigger crowd than the one I covered, I don't know, a couple of months ago. SPD had a much bigger presence, and here they come. All right, funky jam's on. What's going on? So, funky factor's probably just gone to about a 5. Bear with me here. I've said many, many times, I have less trust in these matters in SPD than I do the protesters, and that actually goes for both sides. So, and my advice to any journalist in this situation is invest in a helmet.
motherfucker right here. This nigga's tripping in his boat. This nigga's scared. This nigga's scared.
Hey, you see, they don't want you, bro. They don't want
Keep it moving, keep it moving.
They don't want you. You know what, yeah, man.
Look, and the sad part is these motherfuckers in Charles got motherfucking guns and weapons and shit.
I'm being told to push back.
These motherfuckers got guns and bayonets and pepper spray and all kinds of shit. All guns are masters. All guns are masters.
It's really loud. There are mixed groups of protesters on the rail, mixed in. So I would say again, the funky factor's gone to about a 5, and that's why I'm elected to cut my helmet off. You probably can't hear, I would guess. It's probably just a cacophony, a wall of sound.
It's like we're going to get a demands check on both sides of the barricade. Snatch that.
15% at least.
Things are definitely
To the community. All the protesters. How do you tell? Getting turned to resign.
There's an SPD officer to my right. They look wicked nervous, which is making me wicked nervous. I could literally reach out arm length and touch him, and he looks wicked nervous. He is a ball of adrenaline.
protect black women. I protect black women. You're not protecting a black woman right now. I protect black women.
Well, I just got my first baton in the stomach, so you can add that to the list.
Black woman, shove me! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Stupid ass fucking Karen! Go fuck yourself! Racist piece of shit! Fuck you!
Don't cry, how can you touch me, bitch?
White ass fucking tears! Fuck you!
Don't cry,
So it was right on the live stream. I got it on 3 cameras.
People! We protect property! We protect people!
They protect
property!
We protect people!
We protect property!
They protect property!
Who do we protect? Who do we protect? Black women! 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 Who do we protect? Black women!
Everybody, move them back. Move them back. This line. Move them back. Move back. Keep going. Move them back. Turn around and look. You can see where you're going.
I'm moving back.
Move back.
Being pushed back, physically pushed back by SPD with the baton. I'm being physically pushed back by SPD with the baton.
Move back.
Hey, I really got mad.
Being pushed back by SPD with the baton. I do have my press credentials out, and I'm being pushed by SPD.
Where's the mask, David? Come on.
Sure.
Where you gonna have a mask?
I really. This is being nice. This is looking out for community.
Hey, David, look at me. Hey, David.
Back more.
David,
Go.
break the law.
And again, it keeps targeting me. This particular SPD officer keeps going right through me.
Hey, don't say we don't look out for community. I love my own.
His name is B. David. He keeps coming specifically back to me and pushing me with his baton. I'm going to channel some Brad Fox right now. This shitbird right here, B. David, is kind of getting off hitting me with the baton. He hit me with the baton once, he pushed me back multiple times with the baton. I actually came down here today, not because I didn't, but again, we see this over and over and over and over again. This overreaction, this heavy-handed response from SPD. I mean, if anything, this, why do you bring a helmet? Well, this is why, right? I mean, I'm here. And I think most people who have watched, if you're new to the stream, you know, but if you've watched the stream frequently, I am generally not a confrontational guy. But, here we go. We just achievement unlocked. B. David, this guy here, total shitbird, literally doing nothing.
Racist. 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 You still the KKK. Democrats. They started the abortion clinics to get rid of the black people. That's what Margaret Sanger was, a racist, vile racist. Everyone kills. That's right. It's Planned Parenthood. Oh, these people make my ass cringe. I'm telling you. We like Jews for 4%. Black women, you make Jews to the white Democratic Party. You're the funny white people. You're funny white people. I used to be a Democrat. I know what I'm talking about. I used to be one of those yabos over there. Freaking babies, little toddlers with their feelings. Oh, well, my feelings are hurt. We love you. You're so cute. You're adorable, really. In your black outfit. Matchy matchy. I was Antifa before Antifa was Antifa. 30 years ago, I was running around shouting horrible things at the cops when I was just a little blonde girl who didn't know what the frick I was talking about. And now, my efforts have come to this.
So I'm okay. I just, when the shoving, you know, if you say we're maybe 10 minutes ago, there was a shoving incident, and you know, I called this guy, right? Because right before it happened, what I could do, what I said, and that's kind of why I turned my camera before I got a shot. Because honestly, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and I'm glad my instincts were right. It's like if there's any cops that are going to take a baton to me if shit goes down, it was going to be that motherfucker. And when they started pushing people back, he whacked me. So, and I could see him kind of sizing me up, and he was breathing. That's why, again, if you go back in the feed, I was like saying how, you know, like he just seems terrified. He was breathing so hard. And he wasn't breathing hard because he's moving around. He was friggin' scared. And if you're scared in this situation, then get another fucking job. If you're scared in this situation and you're a cop, get another fucking job. I don't know how else to put it. I haven't seen this tactic in a while. Actually, I would love to get this filmed.
Yeah, we already told her. She doesn't understand. Flag code violation, but whatever. It's doing something else. There you go.
Well done, Karen! Well done! No, not you. There's a pandemic! Have you heard of coronavirus?
They probably have it.
Disproportionately affecting people of color. You should consider putting
I'm not going to walk through the police line. I'm going to walk around. You know, yeah, I'm pissed off. I'm really pissed off. I'm fine. Was better described as a love tap, I guess, but still not quite a Klingon love tap, but not quite a Dr. Mrs. Malcontent love tap either. You know, so, but I called that guy. I could just see he was just looking for any fucking excuse. And if that's how you operate, you're in the wrong freaking vocation. The end. for you. All right. Pop the helmet off. Yeah, if you can get that in there, I appreciate it. Just go ahead.
There
Yeah,
you
thank
go.
you. I appreciate that.
You got a lot of nice gear there. Wow.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
impressed? Which,
Yeah.
Which paper?
So I'm independent.
Oh, yeah.
Independent media.
Cool. Yeah.
Monopod, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the thing. This
With a
is,
little tripod at the bottom of it, I think.
well, yeah, the little feet down there, right? If I'm just gonna, like, you know, if I'm gonna film one of the speeches, right, I can just go like that. Now it's a lot more stable.
Sweet. Good to see I'm Tom.
What's your name? Your name's Tom. Tom, why are you here today, Tom? Are you on?
Oh,
You okay with
I'm
that?
supporting the police, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're supporting the police?
Well, I think it's ridiculous to reduce the police force because they support peace and they stop criminal activity.
Okay.
And if they're not there, the criminals take off. And this whole thing where they're supporting, defunding the police is ridiculous because it's going to open the door for criminals.
So I'm going to ask you a question on something that just happened to me down there, which is why I had the helmet on, okay? So there's a little incident down there between the two different groups of protesters. Now I'm standing like I am here right now with you. I'm not interviewing anyone, but I'm just doing this, right?
Right.
And I took a baton to the stomach from an SPD police officer.
You took a what?
I took a baton to the stomach about 10 minutes ago from an SPD
From a
police
police?
officer. Yes. While I am standing here, as I'm talking, I'll give you the card. You can go back and see it for yourself.
Okay.
So, so here's the thing, right? And I'm breaking the fourth frame a little bit, and I really appreciate you talking to, because he was to, say a little more about this. He was to my right, and I just, you know, I'm looking around, and people are yelling, right? Your head's on the swivel. And when I turned and I looked, I mean, he was like heaving, like breathing hard, right? Like he had just run, like he'd just run 5 miles, but he hadn't run 5 miles. And I've been a journalist long enough to know, like, adrenaline's going in this guy, right? Adrenaline, you know what it is. Adrenaline gets going, you start breathing harder, you start shallow breathing. And so there was some pushing between two different protesters, and he would say maybe that far from me, and he just moved, and I took a baton to the stomach.
And he came after you?
Came after me because they said start pushing people back, and he whacked me in the baton with the stomach. And then I tried to start stepping back, and basically there's a whole crush of people behind me. I've got nowhere to go. So he's just pushing me harder
Did
and harder.
somebody get some video of it?
I got the video right here.
Oh,
The
you
camera
did?
was running.
No!
Yeah, the camera was running. So my question to you is this. They're giving you this backstory. I understand this, and I understand your point of view. I go on both sides of the line, right? And I see the other side. And what I see is I've seen over-response. I just saw over-response. So what, and then I walked by, when I got to come up through here, you know, I walked through the line and everything's fine with that. So we get into this whole thing, good cop, bad cop, and
What there needs to be is more accountability.
Okay, so let's talk about accountability then.
Accountability for the police actions.
Okay.
You know, and these body cams is one tool for that. But, you know, they should know in their training, you know, not to use unreasonable force unless it's justified. And if they don't, then they're held accountable for it.
What if their body cams aren't on? We're just having a conversation. But what if their body cams aren't on? What if they forget the term? Because we hear that sometimes. I'm not saying that happened out here. I'm not saying, right? When we hear in the news, police shot, questionable circumstances. Oh, and the dash cam was off and the body cam was off. They forgot. And right, if you and I, in our job, I'm going to guess you're retired.
Pardon me?
I'm going to guess you're retired or close to retired.
Close to it.
Close to it, right? If we screwed up like that in our jobs, what would happen to us?
Well, and that's what they need too, is accountability.
so that when they do get caught, you know, somebody else gets a video of them or there's witnesses or whatever, that they know that they're going to pay a price. You know, and not necessarily get fired, but they're going to pay a price. Because everybody needs to abide by the standards and the rules, code of ethics of their profession.
So how do you get there? Because this is put on by SPOC, right? The Seattle Police Officers Guild. So they have a really, really strong contract,
Yeah.
right? That kind of blocks some of these things. So how do you, we're on the same page. This is why I love having these conversations, because I think, honestly, I think if people over there could sit down with the people over there and just sit down and talked about not the cure, but the symptoms, I think there'd be a lot of agreement on the symptoms, right? The system isn't perfect.
Right.
I'm sure there's people here that'll say the system is perfect, but I don't think that would be over 50%. I think there would be a number of people here that say something has to change, right?
And I need to up the consequences for wrong behavior, okay? But not eliminate the police force. Up the
Ladies and
consequences,
gentlemen,
improve the training, and hold them accountable for
it is
abiding
my
by their
honor
principles. That's what
to
should
bring
be
to the
doing.
microphone
I really
to address
appreciate your time. I gotta
a
get the
reasonable
speaker.
ignored
Thank you. You have a good day.
every one of you with somebody that has been a legend in this city for 40 plus years. These are the types of individuals that are part of our community, the reasonable community that support this city, that support the fine men and women of the Seattle Police Department that serve you, who fulfill their oath of service, to whom are willing to give their lives in that service for you, for everybody, even them over there.
Well, I was served. Yeah, not exactly.
And that's where the divide is. We will give our lives to everybody in that service. Without further ado, 40-year Seattle resident, former Seattle Supertonic, James Donaldson. Put your hands together!
Thank you, everyone. All right. It is so great to see everybody come out and support our police department. This is the most important effort in front of us right at the moment. We got to make sure our police department is not defunded.
So for those of you not from the Seattle area,
I hope everybody here
Seattle is still really super salty about the Seattle Sonics
We have
being in the city.
160,000 signatures so far, and we need more. We've got to tell and send a message to this crazy Seattle City Council of ours that they are out of their freaking minds to think about defunding. I have been here for 40 years. I played with the Sonics back in the great old days. Okay? And I've seen the great times of Seattle, and now we're seeing some of the challenging times that Seattle's going through. But it takes people like us to make sure we pull through. Keep on supporting, keep on turning out, keep on making sure your voices are heard. I'll be here right with you, and we're going to do this together. Thank you, go Seattle, go!
Come on, I can't hear you, James Davidson! You know, for a long time, 1,300 members that belong to the Seattle Police Officers Guild. We have a long history since 1952 representing cops. And we do it with professionalism, and we do it with respect, because we respect every one of you. We respect this community. But one thing to remember, we're human beings. We have friends, we have families, We have children. We have obligations not only to ourselves, to our spouses, our significant others, but more importantly, the oath of service of being a police officer, that peace officer, is to the awareness that we could lose our lives in the service of you. It takes a certain individual to wear this uniform. And we wear it for all of you. We wear it for this community. We wear it for the reasonable community, the acknowledged majority, and most importantly too, we wear it in service to the unreasonable activists as well. That's the type of human beings we are. And to my point earlier, there seems to be a majority of times some disagreements with chain of command because we're labor and we got to represent police officers. But I want to take this time to show our support for Chief Carmen Best. The reason why I point to this building,
I think I just threw up in my mask a little bit.
Because the unreasonable activists, in a political pandering move to punish the chief, are going to perhaps vote tomorrow to eviscerate her salary. How is that reasonable? How will you recruit and retain a law enforcement professional executive to lead this city with policing issues that are very complicated? Who would want to come here if they can't even afford to live in the city because their salary won't even allow them to buy a house in the city if you defund an executive salary?
That's an ironic statement, as Carmen Best does not live in Seattle. She doesn't even live in King County.
Are under threat to lose their livelihoods with a 50% defund nonsense, dangerous activism coming from this city hall. They're not only going after an African-American female police chief, they're going after whites, blacks, Asians, everybody that represents the men and women of the Seattle Police Officers Guild's jobs. No more!
All right, everybody who disagrees, like, you guys could debate that on the feed. Feel free to just, there you go. I have a feeling that the liberals and Democrats, the liberals and the Republicans on my feed now are going to beat up each other over on whether to love Minecraft or not. It's a great sign. I like his better too.
I'm proud to be an American, well, at least I know I'm free.
Oh, what? SPD has blocked the intersection now with 2 vehicles, and then there's another, or I don't know, SPD's blocked it with 1 vehicle, I'm not sure. But SPD has pushed back everybody, including press and media at this point. I don't know, we could try to get a shot. Adjust my horizons here. Oh my goodness, they're playing Journey again. It's nothing against Journey, it's just the problem is getting the music shut down. I'm gonna have have to move a little bit here. Give me a second. I'm setting up a shot. It's actually super bright. All right, I think that's good. Give me a second here. I guess the worst thing that happens, I take another shot to the stomach, right?
Photo of your rig?
Yeah.
That is pretty sick.
Thanks, man.
Where did you get the cake?
Small rig.
Okay.
Small rig, small rig. Small rig sells this, not small rig.
Okay.
There's a ton of brands that sell.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, there's a ton of brands that sell those. Small rig, small rig, small rig, and then that's the road. Yeah, so
Get the fuck out of here, Jay. Get the fuck out of here. No one's your fucking Corona magnet. No one's your Corona magnet.
yeah. There's actually a journalist asking me about my setup. All right, we're gonna go ahead. I've seen he hit her before.
Time to keep this. You gotta be born again.
Oh my goodness, Bible dude is here. Well, I didn't expect a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I was actually just going to get a shot of the police line and walked up on them. Sorry about the horizon.
Put your hands down. When I remember I was in Oklahoma and I went to an old-fashioned holiness altar. I got down on my knees and I said, Jesus, I'm on my way to hell. I need to get saved.
Well,
and I gave my life to Jesus Christ.
This may be one of the weirdest events I have covered.
I was born of the Holy Spirit.
Bear with me again.
Put your mask
Oh my goodness, it's a puppers. We get to do puppers. We haven't done puppers in a long time. It's a puppers. Hey there, puppers. You're like a real puppers. We need a little dog therapy here. You okay? You want to check me out? I don't have food and I am not food. I don't have food and I am not food.
Hello?
Okay, we got puppers.
Look at those claws.
Such a baby.
Oh, you are very baby. Poor baby is so fluffy.
To steal a line from Despicable Me, it's so fluffy.
It's a sick rig.
Thanks.
Such a good dog.
Save a mic, phones, live stream.
You are.
Yep.
GoPro, camera.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Thanks. It generally has protected me, but it didn't today.
Why?
I got a baton to the stomach from the police about
got a
half an
baton?
hour. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where?
Just right here. It was
where-
live streaming when it
where in your
happened.
body?
Like right here.
Oh, is it yours? I wanted to say hi from
They're gonna love this. I did that walking shot for you on the subject of I forgot to turn on the camera. What would happen if I, didn't get the shot? Yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen.
Whether there be things on earth or things in heaven. I'm preaching to the Blue Lives Matter people. I've actually had the Spirit turn this direction. I'm preaching to everyone. I preached to you guys last night. We're going to preach to them tonight about Jesus, about how to get saved. The Bible says, whosoever shall call.
By the way, Jesus Dude owns a roof repair and cleaning company, FYI.
If you will hold up him and scream, touch the Lord Jesus Christ and
I don't want to step on T-Rex's tail.
The thing is that because they have the top.
Hey guys. John, how you doing?
Good.
Where's CJ? Is he still down? Is he down in Portland?
CJ, I'm not sure. That's concrete.
Oh Jesus, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Converge.
we're-
Yeah, Converge. CNC. No, I get it.
Amari's visiting his father right now.
Yeah.
But, so it's. Oh, I gotta.
Yeah, that's good. That was Converge. I brain farted. I'd even said Converge on there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Scared of fate?
That's a sage.
She's not a nice person. Well, yo, that is the biggest bee in the whole town. The biggest bee news reporter I've ever met, even more than Matt Markovich. Honestly. Like, she is not a nice person. She's not. She's not. I've talked to her one-on-one. She said horrible things to me.
I think that was Angela Painter. Sorry, from King 5. Angela. I actually haven't seen her in one of these in a while. She was in CHOP. She actually spent time right on the rail interviewing people during the CHOP days.
I'm really passionate about the news.
I don't know. So it's making commentary about her personally, and I don't know. I know people have their view about me, so. All right, there's another
fantastic community member.
Another speaker's getting ready to start.
That has been a rock in this Seattle community for 55 years. Without further ado, it is my honor and distinct privilege to represent the wonderful human being to my left, Felicia Cross. Put your hands together, please.
I hope you guys can see that. It
I come from
is
this
so
community.
bright
I grew
here.
up,
I
born
really
and
can't
raised
see
here,
it.
live in the same home I've lived in all of my life, so I love Seattle. I did a lot of volunteer work before coming onto the department. I was a volunteer chair for the African American Advisory Council, trying to bridge the gap between the black community and the police department, and was very successful at it. There have been lots of programs put into place. I was at the table with the DOJ when they came in talking about the consent decree, and what I heard from the people at that time was, we want more training for officers, we want more community outreach programs, we want our officers to get out of their cars and get to know their neighborhoods, we want to know our officers that patrol our cities, we don't want them just to show up at 911 calls. And over these 10 years, all of those things have come into play. All of them. So, to defund the police department 50% and cut the jobs of so many officers, what do you think will happen now? There will be no time to get out the car and say hello to the kids on the block. There will be no time for training. There will be just back-to-back 911 calls, and we still won't have enough officers. I agree with reallocating funds. The officers do way more than they're tasked to do. But we cannot we have to have a plan. That's all I ask. Please have a plan. Don't just take away from the officers without a plan, because who are you going to end up calling? 911. Thank you.
Come on, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. How is it reasonable for elected officials to come up with an idea, a dangerous idea, that's going to put everybody's public safety at risk? How is that reasonable? How is it reasonable that unreasonable activism are the ones across the street that are committing the acts of violence, holding our city hostage by that unreasonable activism? I find it ironic that the reasonable community, the ignored majority, are the professionals in the room, and yet the public officials on the city council are the ones committing unreasonable activism and only listening to the loud, small group that are committing a lot of these acts. And I think Ms. Cross has something else to say that is profound, as she is a pillar in this community and cares about this police department, cares about Seattle.
Just one more thing. I didn't mention, I am currently now the program manager for community outreach for the department. And one of my tasks is to facilitate the Community Police Academy. And that's where any citizen can come and learn about every unit of the department. And of course, COVID has us all messed up now. But you can come and sit down and learn. And I welcome the ones who question the policies and procedures of the police department. Not to change your mind, but just to give you an educated view of how things are run and why things are done the way they're done. And I welcome every member of City Council to come take the class.
I can't hear you. Move it louder. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it's because of you and your reasonable activism that we're gathered here today, because we know what's at stake. Our entire city's at stake. Public safety will completely fall apart if this fine agency is defunded. Your 160,000 signatures are an example of the reasonable community, the ignored majority that is pushing back against what's occurring here. They're not governing to you, but yet tomorrow our rally will influence them to vote no, won't it? How about we turn our attention to the uniformed officers that are protecting our First Amendment rights for free speech. To every one of you out there, the police officers that are serving us, we thank you. We love you. Now more than ever, the reasonable Seattle community supports you 100%. Back the blue. 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 You know, as I look around this great crowd, I see amazing human beings, amazing Americans. I see children. I see families who all just want to live in peace and have reasonable discourse instead of violence. The families have come here. The children are here. No more to your unreasonable activism. No more to your violence. No more to your political pandering. We urge you to sign our petition at stopthefunding.com. Become part of the reasonable majority, 160,000 people who have said no in 8 days. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand to the fine men and women who are wearing the Seattle Police uniform today.
Mike Solon needs to explain why he's committed voter fraud for the last 16 years.
Most importantly, give yourselves a hand. You, your friends, your family, your children. Your
I think where things
significant
might get
other. You deserve a round of applause. Let's hear it.
One of these days, your soul, we're going to have to stand before God. We're going to have to stand
oh my goodness, Jesus, God is here.
One of these days, you're going to see the face of God. You're going to see the face of God.
I don't have Facebook on my phone anymore. I just go directly through.
You're going to get terrified if you're not saved.
If you're not saved, you're going to be terrified when you stand before God and the books are open. You're going to be terrified.
Taking pictures here, bro.
I'm going around.
Does not compute.
That's why we don't worry about that. We just preach the cross. We just lift up the name of Jesus. That's what Jesus said. I be lifted up unto all men and women. If you lift up the mighty name of Jesus. Lift up the mighty name of Jesus. Souls will be drawn to Christ. Souls will be drawn to Jesus Christ. If we lift up the name of Jesus Christ, We lift up the name of Jesus, the name that is above every name. At the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. To the glory of God the Father. That's what I've got on my sign right here. Every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess to God. We're going to have to stand before the Lord one of these days. And I have to say this, if you're living in some kind of extramarital relationship, that's going to be found out before the throne of God. If there's infidelity in your life, it's going to be exposed before the throne of God. There's nothing hid from the eyes of the Lord. The Bible says the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. The eyes of the Lord. If there's infidelity in your life, it's going to be exposed at the throne of Jesus Christ. And if you have an extramarital relationship, that is going to be exposed at the judgment of Jesus Christ. That's why you're not going to be able to stop Jesus in his judgment. You cannot stop the judgment of the Lord. You cannot stop the plan of God. You cannot stop the will of God. It's God's will that all should be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. But the truth is, many are not going to come to Jesus. Many have not come to the cross. Many have not repented of their sins. But the time is near. What did Paul say in 1 Corinthians chapter 7? He said the time is short, brethren. The time is short. Don't even let him that lies be as though he even possesses anything. Don't you understand the time is short? What did James say?
I think what's going to be interesting, you know, in another 30 or 40 minutes, people are already starting to trickle out from the Back the Blue, the Seattle Police Officers Guild. The numbers have gone down. They haven't gone down significantly, but there are less people. There's certainly less people than there were 90 minutes ago, and I can kind of see people, like if I shoot up this way, you can see there's people kind of milling around and moving out. The line between the police and the protesters has gotten pretty narrow at this point, and I'm just, I'm not going to go walk between them. I'm going to walk behind. And I'll say it again, I trust SPD less than I trust the protesters. And had another demonstration of it. And I saw some, and yeah, there's some people here that have no business being here. We'll come around over here. And I think this shot kind of shows a little better that the number of Back the Blue protesters is shrinking down. It wasn't an accordion. I actually don't know what it was called. I know it sounded a little bit accordion-ish. I don't know what it's called. I haven't taken a music class since like maybe my, I don't know, did I take music in my, no, I don't think I've taken a music class since high school. I do like that, like this is, I got to admit, this is the 2020 fashion of the Seattle Police Department. I can't read his name, my eyesight sucks. So-and-so is very relaxed in his polo with his gradient shading from red to black. It accompanies and accents his gloves and helmets perfectly, along with his happy, smiley face. The mirrored glasses are mirrored on the inside also, so he can admire himself when he walks. The strong jaw is accented by the lack of a mask.
You look real angry, my dude. Are you just hot? You had a long day. Tired, so that's your nap. You want some water? I have some water. It's not very cold, but I promise I didn't make it.
Matt, long time no see, hottie. How you doing, baby? You tired? You hot?
Does that stick in your penis?
I like your long, big stick.
Ooh, give it to me, daddy.
Yeah, daddy. Oh. Yeah, daddy.
It's still real wet just looking at her. I'd like to know what that feels like. You should probably put your best lenses on though. I'm sure your eyes have been looking before. You look really hot too.
You look really warm.
Maybe lift up your visor, get some like breeze flowing into it.
Oh, God.
Let me see those gorgeous eyes that you're sexy.
Yeah, baby.
No, I didn't. You killed the red mouse.
Why do you keep blaming everyone about it? Are you sure it wasn't you? Hey, buddy, America's already a shithole, so I don't know what you're trying to do. It's already been a shithole for quite a while.
Time is coming, guys. He donated to
Nice social work.
I can't believe that. I know you. I know you're a good guy. You're supporting this song.
There you go. There you saw the instrument. Just for a second.
Freaking! Oh, Grandpa, freaking!
You need police protection. Come meet us on equal terms and say that.
I think we may have found one of our brave keyboard warriors from the. I think we may have found one of our brave keyboard warriors in the comments. Notice when he was told, you know, why did you come in? Okay, wait a minute, I said something stupid.
And due to some politics that
I think I know who the cowards are here. I think they're on that side.
Crime Stoppers lost their office for some reason.
I don't even want to. There's like about 5 people I'm seeing. I'm just like, I don't even want to deal with these people.
And I'm going to let the lead spokesperson for Crime Stoppers speak to you and talk about how...
I think Bible Dude's been run off. I don't know. I don't hear him.
Are you Malcontent?
I am.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I love watching you online.
What's that?
I love watching you on Facebook.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I know you watch me, but there you go.
Well, I'll give you one of my phones.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I've seen your name.
You have, huh? Where?
Yeah, well, no. When you watch, sometimes you like your stuff. We see what people. Because, you know, there's moderators and we're checking it. Sometimes we're a little thin, so.
Well, I appreciate the better at 3:30 over a better in the hall, so I decided to stop by.
today early and take a look, see who I can meet.
Yeah. It's a little weird. The funky factor, I think, is going up a little bit. So there was a little incident up here, and SPD got a little pussy shoving and a little chippy. What's that? 2 nights ago. There's a lot of people who reach out. They're pretty salty about it.
What's funny is I got 4 different computer screens, and I have the screen split between Seattle and Portland screens.
The thing is, like I guess you watched the stream, right?
Yeah.
One of the organizers came up to me, like you're coming with us. And I'm like, all right. And I even said, like, well, I guess I said that night, one of the organizers in the DA group came to me and asked on the street, camera was going, he's like, are you gonna come? And I'm like, yeah, and then I was like, oh, I'm walking that way anyway. And then, then I was just kind of left by myself, 1.5 miles, with just a big friggin' target on my back. So I'm kind of salty about it. But it all worked out, so I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too. Love meeting malcontents. I guess I've had a kind of a rough week. A rough weekend. I'm actually glad I was going to bring. I'm running the triple rig today. Longtime malcontents will know that is. Yeah.
Stop the defunding of SPD. Thank you.
There is a lot less people here than what there was before. I would say the crowd now has dropped by a good 30 or 40%.
In your opinion, what would happen to Crime Stoppers, and more importantly, what would happen to the city of Seattle and our region?
I'm going to go see if we could find our brave hero. But I have a feeling that they have walked far off the line, would be my guess. Oh, is this Bible Dude? Oh no, it looked like Bible Dude. It's not Bible Dude.
You think about it, we're available to our citizens 24/7, 365. And everything that comes in can be
I like the grip on this.
Thank you.
P3 tips is no longer functioning.
You might have actually, yeah. Just what I've done. Yeah, I've been up there before. My name is Warren. Hey Warren, how are you doing?
We need the cops in this city to defend you.
Dr. and Mrs. Malcontent and I just go to just a photographer. There's like this. There's a brotherhood of photographers and streamers that's kind of forming out here. That's kind of been developing over 3 months, and people just start recognizing each other.
I want to take this opportunity to bring in somebody that introduce yourself. She's a proud supporter of police.
You all have spoken today. And look at the other talking protesters. They are very small of us. I would like to thank each one of the officers, everybody who is in the police department, the law enforcement. They stand for us every single day. They put their lives in danger because they want to protect us. Public safety is the most important.
I think this is another statement that has bipartisan support. Oh, now this is interesting. Wait. The speaker's from Snohomish County, where Police Chief Best lives.
We want to defend them. We want to give more
absolutely. But do we need to take the money out of Seattle Police Department? What is their solution? They want to bring social workers and mental health professionals. Is that the solution? When something happens, are you going to call a social worker for help? Or are you going to call the police department? Is crime going higher or is crime going lower? Higher. Do we need our police department to defend us or do we need social workers? We need our police department. So we thank you all men and women in blue. We are behind you. We the people have spoken. A few people in city council cannot decide for all of us. They cannot decide. We want to stay safe. We want our roads to be safe. We want our schools to be safe. We want our children to grow up in an environment that is safe. I'm from Pakistan. I know. Guys, maybe most of you do not know what's going on in this world. What people have to face, what police departments look like in other countries. This is the best country to be because we are safe. Because we have the freedom. They have the freedom to do what they are doing. And guess what? If something happens on the other side to those protesters, who's going to come for rescue? The police department. Who are you going to call? A social worker or a police department? So let's give them a big hand. And let's do back the blue, back the blue, back the blue, back the blue, back the blue. Thank you.
Well said, Anita. Thank you so much. I also want to bring in a community member by the name of Barbara who wants to say something.
Everyone who's out there, could I have your attention for a moment? There was a young man named Lorenzo Anderson Jr. who died in the chop. There seems to be no apology or no outrage for his death. He was a teenager who should not have died, but it was after the police department was banned from the chop. A former military officer who might have had first aid on his belt and lots of training with bullet holes, maybe could have saved him. We will never know, but I have not even heard BLM say an apology or it was a tragedy. Sorry. So can I hear one, please, sympathy for Lorenzo Anderson Jr. and his father. Lorenzo!
Thank you. Everybody, on the count of three, as we wrap up today's peaceful rally that is a representation of the reasonable community in the city of Seattle. We heard from community members, but more importantly, we heard from all of you because you're here. You took the time on a glorious Seattle day, on a Sunday afternoon, to stand up for what's right. You're standing up for public safety because you know what's at stake. You know this vote tomorrow is being conducted with dangerous ideas that puts your safety in jeopardy, that'll cut this police department in half. It is so important that you push stopdefunding.com, continue to push, because we're no longer just facing the 2020 budget, but the 2021 budget of defunding is coming 6 weeks away from us. And they will come after more job cuts. Keep on saying no to unreasonable activism. When you see a Seattle police officer in the street, please say hi to them, thank them for their service. And as a representative of the 1,300 proud men and women of the Seattle Police Officers Guild,
that's an ambulance going by. It's not any.
we thank you. We thank you for your support. We could not do this without you. We could not do this 160,000 signatures strong who signed this petition, who are pushing back against this unreasonable activism that has everybody hostage by that ideology. Seattle and Portland are the litmus test to push this nonsense nationwide. We have the opportunity to say no and lead
Actually,
this
that's not true because Minneapolis has already voted.
This
So.
movement that says no more to unreasonable activism, that stands up for Seattle, that stands up for the region,
No, I was saying
stands up for the
Minneapolis has
state,
already
and
voted,
stands up
so
for the
we're
United
not the
States of
litmus
America.
Facts matter to some people. And I'll say it again, Mike Solon needs to explain why he's committed voter fraud for 16 years.
And your reasonable activism, and we look forward to
I don't know, one of the mods or admins, stories on Como. Now Mike Solon is under investigation because he has registered himself as a voter with his address as the Seattle precinct for the last 16 years, which is not where he lives, and is voter fraud and illegal. So, anyway, the story's on Como. If someone could link to it, that'd be great. Oh, Bubble Guy's back.
Give your life to Jesus!
I think maybe his battery's dead. Praise Jesus! His battery's dead. Jesus has smote his speaker.
Before they dare to come!
Did Jesus smite your speaker? Oh, the look on his face was priceless. Priceless! I asked him if Jesus had smited his speaker. The look on his face was priceless. I don't know if you saw, like he stopped all of a sudden, like.
Yeah.
That's
well,
what.
now he's back to his speaker because
Yeah.
Jesus did not smote.
Jesus did not smote his speaker. I love the proper English also. Did not smote.
You gotta come to Jesus if you want to be saved. You gotta come to the cross. That's the only thing that's gonna save your soul on the day of judgment. Not the police force. I already was. They don't want to go down either. I'll tell you, either side.
Well, that's a little worrisome.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back. Sorry. No, you're good. I think I'm going to step back. I'm going to helmet up again. And you guys can look at the puffers while I'm helmeting up. Hit the puffers. It's puffers. so fluffy. Bear with me here. Most of the people are leaving from the Back to Blue event.
We're sick of it,
Sorry.
The crime has only gone up, and giving them money is not helpful. Yeah, it's throwing money at it and hasn't fixed it. I think if we convert the secret police to an elected position, we can have more agents that
Sorry.
What does that mean? That's supposed to mean anything. Nobody brought up rape.
Some of the EDM March people are here, including PK. That was no, but I picked my own poll.
They will
Go back to your communist crap.
Well, here's Mr. Brave Guy.
Go
I guess.
sniff your own asshole, buddy.
How much you getting paid? How much you getting paid? How much you getting paid? Sorry, I don't speak stupid. I can't understand you. I won't even get into it. Okay, discount Joe Biden. Fuck off. You guys go home. You're causing all these problems. Fuck off, Joe Biden. Be the solution, not the problem. Okay? Be the solution, not the problem. Be the solution, not the problem. You're all the fucking problem. Okay, go have a heart. I've lived this. How about you go have a stroke? Seattle used to be an awesome city. You all started your why? You racist piece of shit. Go have a stroke. No, I am not racist. Go fuck yourself. No, you're racist. You're so also racist, you can't even see it.
Everybody, I've said this many times, everybody is racist. Everybody has a degree of racism. Every human on this planet. And the sooner that every human on the planet steps back and goes, I have bias, I make snap judgments, I have judgments that are hardwired, the better we're going to be. I don't see that as a political issue. I don't see that an issue of left. I don't see that as an issue of right. I just see that as a human issue.
Thank you. Thank you.
And generally, it's interesting, right? Because we see this from protests from the other side, right? We're seeing there's a handful of people that are hardcore agitators. We've seen that guy, like I've been doing this feed for 2 hours. We've seen that guy several times now, right? He was very close into the pushing and shoving incident that ended up with SPD coming out with batons. So, right, you see that there's these select group of agitators. Well, what I have seen over and over and over and over is the agitators are white. Always, both sides. generally what's happening at this point, I helmeted up because I saw some, there's some police with pepper spray out. I was showing that earlier.
If you say that one more time.
But
really,
and my questions and if there's any point that was where I would say like you had a flashpoint, it was when this protest put on by SPOG was winding down. And I think what we've had here is the people have generally, exited without there really being any issues. There's some people from the ADM group, and here's the problem. I'm not going to walk there because they're not even arm's length apart, and all it takes is I nudge someone with the camera or something, and all hell could break loose. So I have a question, if that's okay. People are asking me on my feed, what is this called? Like, people are like, what instrument is that? What instrument is that?
It's called a melodica.
Melodica.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I haven't been in music class in forever.
Or a melodia.
Melodia. There you go. Now you know what the instrument is. Thank you. And we got Bible news.
Because otherwise you're going to see him face to face, and you will be ashamed of him at his coming. You're going to be ashamed of his coming. If your heart is not right with the Lord your God, if your heart is not right with God, if your conscience is very
basically,
some kind of sin right now,
basically the SPD group has basically just about left at this point. There's a handful of people left. There's some people on the rail that are kind of doing some yelling and shouting. There's some yelling and shouting going across from both sides. But things are winding down.
You're not going to be a drunkard and get into God 7. I don't care if you support Donald Trump. You need to repent of that alcoholism. You need to repent of those drugs. You're not going to feel bad. This is not about Democrat or Republican.
Agback, you need to listen a little better. That's not what I said.
And the Holy Spirit,
you can go back, watch the feed again. That's not what I said. Also, there are people that are moving back and forth between the both sides.
The Holy Spirit has come to lead and guide you into
Amy, that's a good question.
That's the power of the Holy Ghost. The Holy Spirit of God.
What I was saying earlier, if you were hard of hearing, is what I have seen over and over again, that people that agitate on both sides, the agitators are white. That is what I have seen. And it frustrates the hell out of me.
Chapter 8 and verse 16. The Bible says, they that are led of the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. They that are led of God's Spirit. His Spirit.
Terrence, it's not Fox News bias, it's not MSNBC bias. What unbiased journalistic sources there out there? I mean, USA Today, which I post on a lot, is probably as close as it's going to get.
If you're a child of God or whether or not you're running from the Lord. Like Jonah was running from the Lord. You cannot run from Jesus. I said you cannot run from Jesus. And if you do, you're not going to get very far. You're not going to get very far running from Jesus.
Exactly, Bonnie.
Because when you think you've got there, when you think you've got the way from God, He's going to be there waiting for you. Because His eyes...
Paul, it's a really complicated question, and it would take hours to answer it. It's the right question. Paul, you truly have asked the right question, and there's not a simple answer, and that's the problem. We want binary, we want simple answers, and it's not. This truly goes back to the Declaration of Independence and unfinished business, and things that weren't addressed when they could have been. Puppers alert. And again, some people are like, oh, you're over. It's like, no, that's like one That's one little grain of sand in a billion grains of sand that have fallen on the scale. What I would suggest, like, why is America so divided? There's a book called Tipping Point. It was written, probably 15 years ago or 16 years ago. Even if you're not a reader, if you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to read a book. It's not a terrible hard read. And I'm not saying like it's a simplistic book. I'm just saying it's not a challenging read. It's not a boring read. But there's a book called Tipping Point. And what's happened is we've reached a tipping point. And George Floyd was that tipping point. And the best way that I can describe it is like this. Remember you were a little kid? Maybe you put a plate on the edge of the table or a bowl or a cup or a glass, and you would just like nudge it and nudge it and nudge it and nudge it, and it would start to teeter, and then you'd give it one more little tiny, and boom, and the plate and the bowl or the glass ends up on the floor, and you spilled or you broke it, and you're like, what happened? You're like, I don't know, it fell on the floor. Once that bowl, plate, cup, or if you ever watched a cat do this, right? Once that mass reaches this acceleration point, gravity takes over.
I bet there's not a single
it is next to impossible
who has an ounce of singing talent in them
to stop that fall. And then it's equally almost impossible to return things to the state that they were. And that's kind of what a tipping point is. And with George Floyd, we've reached that tipping point. And so it isn't George Floyd. I think that's why people have a lot of, like, I don't understand George Floyd. And of course there's this false narrative of, well, the cops didn't, all right, so then you just keep going beyond a tail, or you can just start listing them all off. And I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. George Floyd was murdered, the end. The officers are charged with murder, the end. Prosecutor's office feels there was. Now, if you're going to sit there and say, well, the prosecutor was forced into it. Oh, I see. So the prosecutor isn't fair and equal in the deliverance of the crime? Isn't that part of what the argument is? See, all of a sudden your argument's hollow if you're going to go in that direction. I don't want to go there. So it wasn't George Floyd. It was a million events before George Floyd. George Floyd was that last grain of sand that tipped that bowl over. And now that bowl is broken and the sand is all over the floor. And there's still more grains of sand landing on the floor because the bowl isn't even there to catch it. And that's a really simplistic explanation on why we're so divided. Because I keep saying, as I said earlier in the feed when I was interviewing a couple of people, I think people are going to look and go and agree on the symptoms. There's survey after survey shows there are very few people in this country, it's under 20%, that right now would look in the eyes and say the police as a whole work perfectly as they are. The support for that statement is under 20% nationally. And yeah, it's divided across party lines and yada yada, but even among Republicans and even more so than independents, there's a need for change. That's their belief. Now, you can get into this whole conversation of what is the degree of change made, and that's when you start getting into the cure. Most people, probably not a lot of the trolls in the feed right now, and yeah, you're trolls. Most people, you know who you are. Basically, if I said troll and you went, is he talking about me? Then you're probably not being a troll. If I went troll and you just got all pissed off, you're a troll. Because you're like, ouch. Yes, that's how the brain works. But most people want the change. But then again, you get into the cure for the disease. Some people feel the disease is terminal cancer. Some people feel it's an ankle sprain. Again, I'm trying to be simplistic in the interest of conversation. And yeah, and some people are just kind of, walk it off, it'll go away. The issue is we've tried, well, let's just walk it off and it'll go away, right? Post-Ferguson, walk it off, it'll go away, right? Ferguson was 2014. It felt felt like we kind of walked it off, but we didn't. It's just been festering and festering and festering, and so here we are. So I think if we can have reasonable conversations about the symptoms between both sides, including the trolls, and of course if you're like, well, there are no symptoms, walk it off, then you're just not willing to be part of the solutions to the problem. But most people want to see some degree of change. And then it just gets into how much, how soon, what kind. That's the harder conversation. But the sooner as a nation we can have those conversations together, the better off we're going to be. So funny, I'm having to wear my sunglasses, and it looks like things have calmed down again, so I probably will take the helmet off again. I'm wearing my sunglasses out here today. It's so friggin' bright. It's crazy bright. And I keep going to take my sunglasses off to put them in my, to hold them like on my lips,
trying to
so I
find
can have two free
somebody
hands, and then it's like, crap, I got a mask on. I can't do that. Anyway. I haven't seen a spaghetti monster shirt in a while. Well, I could tell you, they're anything but lazy. If they were lazy, they wouldn't be out here. The lazy people are on the keyboards right now, watching this, typing things like these people are lazy. Stop projecting. Terrence, it's very, very true. I found Mike Solon, who was under investigation for voter fraud for 16 years. I'm going to keep hammering that. But I do find it interesting that Mike Solon, under investigation, official criminal investigation for committing 16 years of voter fraud, and that goes back to before there were mail-in ballots, by the way. Anyway, I do find it interesting, right, that he was complaining about Carmen's best salary and the vote coming up for that to being cut, and about how she won't be able to afford to live in Seattle. And Carmen Best doesn't live in Seattle. Not only does she not live in Seattle, she doesn't even live in King County. Not only does she not live in King County, she doesn't even live close to the county line. She lives in the friggin' boondocks in Snohomish. And if you look on a map, Snohomish is a geographically very, very large area. There's an incorporated part, and then there is a very large unincorporated part of Snohomish, which gets into like Washington state law and what a town is and who controls what versus city and county. People who live here know it. If you don't live it here, I'm not going to explain it to you. Go look it up. Not my job to educate you. You're here commenting, educate yourself on the comments. So I found it just hysterical, you know. Oh, poor Carmen Best is going to be able to live in Seattle. She doesn't live in Seattle. And like literally some of these people here are the same people that probably read Carmen's Best letter going about, oh, how these protesters came at night. Her letter's hysterical. They came here at night to intimidate me, and my neighbors saved me, and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, the reality is in that same letter, you know, everyone left at 7:45. We're at 48.3 degrees north. It is still light here at 9 o'clock at night. At 7:45, we're not even to sunset. You know how you can tell when Carmen Bess is lying? Her lips are moving. I was a Carmen Bess supporter once upon a time. Surprise. I was actually pretty happy when she was picked as chief. And I was actually, I think there were a fair number of people when Jenny Durkin was elected that were like, okay, because, you know, some of the comments on here, again, from people that don't live in Seattle, really cracked me up. You know, like, you just need to vote for a Republican mayor. People here do not understand the politics in this area. It's not that you couldn't elect a Republican mayor. It's just that you would think that that person, TKRU, you would think that person is as left. Like you would, that's not a Republican. That's not what I meant. You know, like how many people of you here? Here's an interesting question, serious question. How many of you here, I'm going to put you in two boxes. So, you know, it's a yes or no question. There's no nuance here. How many people here think that if Seattle voted for, you got to listen to the whole thing, that if Seattle voted for a Republican mayor, this would solve the problem? Stop. Here's the second half of the question. Do you support John Kasich, or is John Kasich a rhino? Because John Kasich had to run as an extremely moderate Republican to become the governor in Ohio, because Ohio is kind of a purple state, right? It's reddish blue. So when you say, hey, we need a Republican, or would you be okay if it was a John Kasich type Republican? Put your answer in the comment. It's a legit. I think it's a very legit question. And it's not a gotcha. Put your answers in. By the way, wearing the American flag as a drape like that is a violation of USC code. It is an improper use of the American flag. I'll check your answers in a couple of minutes. Paul, I see Paul Barber's comment. Paul, you just won. Paul wins the internet for the day. Moderators, please ship the internet to Paul's house. He wins the internet for the day. Congratulations. And here's what else he gets: a bottle of Scooby-Doo vitamins, the Ronco record, greatest hits of the 70s, very strapped. Daniel, I've never burned a flag or a Bible. What do you mean by you guys? That's a pretty broad statement. I was on a search and rescue team for 8 years. I was accepted in the U.S. Air Force. I failed my flight physical at MEPS and was shipped back home utterly brokenhearted. Utterly brokenhearted. I love the American flag. I love the Constitution. I love the Bill of Rights. I don't love coming down here and doing my First Amendment rights and taking a baton to the stomach like I did about an hour and a half ago. That's on video. Brent, that I agree. I think everybody needs to try to do better. It isn't just Seattle. No one's answering the John Kasich question. It's interesting. It's telling that there's no one answering it. It's a big tell. And it's not a tell that it's a bad question. It's just a tell of where the heart's at. And it just goes, it's like, well, no, we don't need someone like John Kasich. So really what you want is authoritarianism.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, things are getting a little.
You just never know, man.
Oh, I was helmeted up a little while
yeah,
ago.
I saw you.
Yeah, and it's like it looks like it settled back down. So I wish I had. You know, I was thinking, it'll be, and I didn't. I don't know, like I normally worm dress like you, and I was like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of like, yeah, I should have.
I just go out every day now. If it's a protest that has any potential of getting a little spicy, I just say, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll throw it all on. I mean, because like on the 25th, I got shot 3 times, mace in the face, so I'm like, my knee is still recovering from it, you know, like,
yeah.
I'm just not messing around. I got enough stuff on me that says that I'm pressed, but they don't care.
They don't care. No, that's it. And I've explained that on my stream too, because I've had people, when I'll turn it around, right? Sometimes I'm in the helmet, and then they're like, why you got a helmet and goggles on? And I'm like, because it could just go from 0 to... Right, it could just go from 0 to 60 in a blink. And the part that I've seen over and over again, it 98% of the time, it's the police that escalate up like that. 98% of the time.
Yeah, more often than not, you really have no idea what did it.
Yeah,
Like,
unless you happen to just be... There's a couple of times, like, I actually got a baton to the stomach today over here, because there's some pushing and shoving going on between but I happen to just like be there.
Yeah, otherwise, it's like if you weren't there,
You're just all of a sudden you hear yelling and screaming, right? And all of a sudden then it's spicy, and everyone's running. Yeah, I've dodged rubber bullets. I haven't been hit, but I've dodged rubber bullets and tear gas and pepper spray.
they maced us directly in the face. Got hit in the thigh with a blast ball, and then shrapnel blew up right on my leg and hit me, and it like broke skin on my knee. And I still have. It feels like a rock about the size of that. It's right there. You know,
Wow.
It's big.
And they can't take it out, or?
I don't even know what it is. It's like my
Oh,
body.
got it.
Trying to push something out. You know?
Got it.
It's still there, and it's what 3 Saturdays later. So anymore, I'm just like whatever.
Was that here, or was that was here?
That was the one on the 25th.
The one that, okay, yeah. I was out of town for that.
I would say like, you didn't, probably better to, but when you're media, you're like, damn, I wish I was there.
Yeah, it was weird, right? I felt almost like a little bit of sense of guilt. Dr. and Mrs. Malcontent, I'm sorry. The wife's watching. I felt like a little bit of guilt. I was watching what's going on, and I was like, I should be, but we had a long-standing planned weekend. It was good to get away and
You have to.
hit the reset button.
Yeah.
So,
Mari's out of town this weekend.
yeah.
I'll be out of town for a couple of days coming up soon. Like just you're mental, and that's the thing. Like we're used to just getting out and go. But you need to like every so often just step away and just have some sense of whatever your normalcy is.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Yeah. Well, I'm a little more optimistic it's not going to get spicy like I did because I started walking down and I saw they had the pepper spray cans out, and then I was like, oh boy, here we
It's
go.
a black hole, man. It's hard to leave.
Yeah. All right, good talking.
You too.
That was Converge Media, y'all. Converge. So we share a ton of their streams. We try to share the Everyday Show, which is 11. Converge Media is a great group to follow. if you're not following them.
I bet you love Jesus, don't you? Yeah, you fucking do.
These two of them they were arguing on the other side. Same with that blonde lady.
Imagine if you had their fucking job. Look at the paycheck. They're standing there every fucking day. And they're being told that they're racist. They're being poked and poked and poked and poked. I'm surprised that not more of the majority of them don't fucking lose a fucking sport.
You want them to leave.
It is. That is. That's why I respect them. It's not leaders. That's the politicians. That's the goddamn people that write their fucking checks. If we come from practicing and keeping their sworn oath to protect all of us.
They are not protecting everyone.
If all of us ignore the money that they're bringing in, and if they were just out there voluntarily, they put a fucking stop to this life. Because their life is written off in effect. It's their decision to protect you, protect me, and the goddamn tyrants and goddamn Russians.
And they left. And I'm not going to
So what's going on? There's a couple of people. There's a couple of people here, and there is what I feel kind of like reasonable discussion that's going on from both sides. And I always like to say, like, when we see this kind of stuff going on, it's like, here you go, you're seeing democracy in progress.
You see black and brown people
I say everybody, hey, wherever you come from,
Have you ever walked down the street and got pulled over by the police?
Do I have to go back to the I get it. Do I have to go back to
Go back.
What I'm trying to say is that it's disproportionate.
What I'm trying to say is...
Thanks, man. Yeah, a lot of people like the wood handle. Yeah.
I've seen things from my light and not the light that the media that are so-called leaders would like to paint that picture to be. I see it from my own fucking eyes. I don't wave no pom-poms for any government fucking institution. The only fucking people I like to that for is the Seahawks, okay? But that's it, all right? I'm for myself, right?
But you can't be for yourself. That's
Oh, no.
bigger than yourself.
No. And what I'm trying to say is, I don't get indoctrinated by anybody talking about anything.
See, but then you leave it only to your perspective, and that's it. And it's limited in scope. You understand that, right?
Just as yours is.
Okay,
Just as
fair
yours
enough.
is, right?
I'd argue that mine's a little bit more broad in
I got you.
because of the experiences that we've had to live through, right? You live a white experience in this country that has served your needs, that has catered to your needs. That's it.
Well, stop.
I'm listening.
I don't know what bankruptcy. I tell you, 2008, I did nothing fucking wrong. And this government took my fucking business, took 3 of my fucking spec houses, put me in fucking bankrupt for no wrongdoing in my home. You don't think that was effective?
No, I'm not saying that. That's a class issue, right?
No,
right here.
no.
It's
It's a wrong versus right issue. And as long, and I get it, my perspective, your perspective, right? My perspective is we are all fucking equal. We all have the right to get off our fucking backs and do something for ourselves to better our family and our future. Right?
What do you think we're doing? I bet you get a big one before I
It is disproportional because the education system's disproportional.
I don't want to say things that are right and I'm illegal, but
We need to get more funding from the impoverished communities. They need to raise the bar, not lower the bar. We all need to be able to
I don't think anyone's trying to say lower the bar.
cannot meet it. That says something about our politicians, about our government, that they need to be given more funding to our schools.
listen, it's not about the funding. It's not about the funding, it's about the social engineering. If you constantly tell yourself and tell your children that these people over here Now listen, you tell me that you wouldn't grow up to slightly be biased to that? Our teachers, our politicians, constantly are enraging the classes against each other.
But what do you
constantly do it? You look at the biased media, it doesn't matter what side you're on.
But what do you say to the child, the black child that's in the back seat of the car, and goes, "Daddy, why does the police pull you over all the time? Why do you get pulled over all the time? Why did his hand have his hand on his gun, Daddy? What did you do? What do you say to that?" I really trying to understand what you're saying.
That's a specific question, but let me.
But what do you say to that
Let me
child?
go ahead and present the answer in a way that I believe is more just. Okay?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Does that? I'm sorry, but I have a missing vocal cord.
No. It's
okay?
fine. No. It's.
Let's listen. The way I look at that specific issue is this. Was that father constantly breaking the law?
Oh, yeah.
No.
But you're playing what if now. But you're playing what if now.
But you are. Because
I'm
you didn't give a
not playing what
specific
if.
example.
It is
You didn't give
specific because this happens.
You didn't give a specific.
All right, let me give you a specific. I'll give you a specific example. I'll give you two specific examples. One, according to the Department of Education, U.S. Department of Education, a black child is 380% more likely to get an in-school or out-of-school suspension than a white child. Second one I'm going to give you. A black gifted talented student. So a black, right, you understand what I mean by gifted talented student? Is 54% less likely to be referred into a gifted talented program. So what do you say to those children? I
tell you what, if I could pull all the puppet strings, okay, I could tell you how I would approach it.
Well, that's what I'd like to hear.
No, because how I would approach it is that we would give school vouchers. We would give power to those people that would be singled out. That would be just because their family is just single parent, because maybe their mother works 2 jobs, just trying to do the best for their family. We give them the opportunity to go somewhere where they're appreciated, where they can thrive as a human being.
But then what happens when those schools fill up?
Down
Our schools
by that fucking government, by the fucking leaders that do it, shame on them, and I will unite with you, and we will stand together to burn that fucking place down, okay? However, if that family chooses not to accept that help, then it's no longer my responsibility. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes sense.
Everybody has a right to choose. You have a right to choose.
Why did they wait until...
It seemed like you said you think we should reinvest, we should help those people who are in those situations. Is that what you said?
Not word for word, but
basically.
Basically.
My lady is very feisty, and I have to keep her back sometimes. The last thing I want her to do is keep the fucking crazy.
I'm with you. My thing is just like it sounded like you were saying that you think that you said that there were like specific people like you mentioned, like people in like a single parent household. Those are the people that we should like support, right? So I don't think that we disagree with you. I think that we absolutely agree with you, and we think that we should be helping those people, specifically like black people, by reinvesting in their communities.
I think it should be society ran though. I don't think the people that think that they can pull the puppet strings should decide how they go about doing that.
I agree.
When he's saying pull the puppet strings, where he's pointing for those who are kind of aware of the geography. The building he keeps pointing to is City Hall.
80s and 70s, among all. I don't think that's the case.
You don't? Of course you don't think so.
I don't think. Well, because I live there. I mean,
so did I.
Well, I got you.
The banging you hear going on, it's SPD is packing up the barricades.
I've never
that were set up for the protest. You can probably see a little bit in the background. So there's nothing going on.
However, I come from a generation of people that lost 3 family members to previous slaves. 3 family members, right?
I'm a huge advocate for this kind of dialogue, by the way. I don't think anybody's going to walk away with much of an agreement on anything, but this is what we need in America. I'm a huge advocate for what we're seeing. It's a great way to end shooting for the day.
I think the government has divided us. I think if you repoach we approach the subject from a different angle, and then if you can stop directing it toward stupid fucking agendas, you get it to the top, that you and I and all of us was going to get it. Because all these agendas for us, for you,
I don't even understand the question.
the chance to make something out of our lives should be just equal and never should be biased in somebody else's favor.
And that's why we're standing out here and fighting against that system.
Well, initially I thought so.
But you know what? You're not going to solve anything at a 15-minute dialogue out on the sidewalk, but it's a starting point.
But their insurance won't even cover because it's just disturbance. Right? What about airlines?
I think absolutely. I don't think.
But they're never going to get back their lives, man.
They're never going to get back their lives? Well, please get them in contact with us because I think the vast majority of the people here would agree that you don't want to harm them. Especially not
But see, that's the perception. That's the perception. Well, yeah. But perception. Perception. It's all perception.
Had ran this country like a business.
I may have been out there day one, at least precinct. I saw that go down, and I could stand behind it and watch it out. I'm working out of family. I go home trying to keep my job going while watching my feeds all night long. Trying to make sure that I'm educated on the subject. And the problem is that people are getting wild up.
I appreciate your conversation. Thank you very much. I value your opinions on it. I appreciate you talking to us.
Can somebody please give me the definition of fascism?
All good. I feel better. I know. I get it. I don't believe all of that, but I appreciate your view, and I think that if the police did say that our First Amendment rights didn't count, you would stand up for us, I believe. So I appreciate that. Have a good day.
How can you be against immigrants if you marry one? Right? Because that's what the narrative is. That's what I was told.
Right.
But now here we are.
It's okay if she's white.
You're not going to let me finish?
Hell no.
Let her finish.
So here we are in 2020.
That's where we get confused at. Can you see the confusion, Alan? Have you seen what's been going around here lately? Who wouldn't arm themselves? Who not arm themselves? I'm sorry, so that's what I'm talking about. My fault. You not see where that divides people?
I think that the difference. I'm under my arm.
There's just something that fell on the ground. No
It's
issues.
just an umbrella.
Yeah.
I think the difference is when he says that, you think of it as you being personally responsible, right? Right? Well, no.
I don't know how well you can hear the conversation. It's still a good conversation, though. There's actually like a couple little breakout groups here. There's another really good conversation going on to my right.
You're voting for Trump and you're voting for these people that help this system perpetuate this system that does nothing.
Disregarding political beliefs, okay? So far left or right, they're both extreme. Okay. You're yeah, right? No, far left or right, they're both extreme.
Educate at home.
Then again, it's a suppression of one group to another, correct? But you suppress with one group to another. It literally says the far right ideology.
Do you not believe that the police are suppressing people? Are oppressing the civilians, bro? White, black, Asian, brown, native, or Caucasian, doesn't matter what you oppressing.
I look at this, who am I oppressing?
With the police.
Do I have
you guys
my
are just suppressing. You guys are just oppressing people down there on Broadway, bro. Gas. What is it? Tear gas. Tear gas. I got tear gas by you guys.
We're not talking physically oppressing, we're talking systemic and institutional.
You have no idea my history. You have no idea my history,
I don't care about your history.
What part of the law is racist?
All
Please.
of it.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Find me an RCW, Regional Code of Washington, that is racist.
Profile. We don't profile. You guys don't profile.
We don't
No.
profile.
Bro.
Okay, hold up. The law.
I've been pulled over so
I've
many
literally been
times
put in cop cars.
because I was walking down the street looking suspicious.
The law
Where?
is not
North
exactly.
on Aurora. One. CD, right there by me.
Did the officer
That's
explain
two.
why he stopped?
He said I looked suspicious.
Okay. Did he say that there was probably a call? that
No,
happened
he did not.
of- Did he give your case?
He said he had the right.
That'd
He
be
said he had the
profiling.
right. Duke code. I forgot what code he gave me, but it was some bullshit code, bro. I literally spent 5 months in jail because I fit a suspicion.
What were you accused of? Or what were you charged with? You spent 5 months in jail. What were you accused of?
I had a warrant, but he said that I looked suspicious.
So you had a warrant. That's
He
why you
stopped me
were in jail.
because I looked suspicious. He didn't know who the fuck
Doesn't
I
matter
was.
what goes on.
He stopped me because I looked
No, it
suspicious.
doesn't matter what happens after. What happened was the initial
No,
stop
it does
was
not, bro.
suspicious.
No, it does not. At all.
Because everything has a starting point, correct?
Everything
No,
has
okay, yeah, exactly.
Everything has a starting point. The starting point was you did something wrong. You didn't go to court, or you did go to court. You got a warrant.
What was I doing wrong at that time?
That I don't
What was
know.
I doing wrong at that time? I was walking down the motherfucking street.
If it was a wrongful stop, for that I do apologize.
That's the point.
No,
It was a
that's the
wrongful
point.
stop.
It was a wrongful stop
But
because
at
I
the
was
end of the
black.
day, at the end of the day, did you or not have a warrant?
That doesn't
It does
matter.
matter.
The wrongful stop is what we're talking
So
about
you're
here. We're
saying
not
that
talking about
violating
that.
crime or
People
violating
love to do that.
law.
No, shut up. Shush.
Yeah.
Okay, have a
People
good day.
love to do that. Yeah, bye.
Yeah, have a good day. Because you've been watched,
Hold on.
motherfucker.
People love to do that. People love to figure out the rest, the after. No.
Oh,
what
what's
happened?
it? Crackhead?
No. That's what they love to do for
Oh, bro. Yeah, get you a little funky ass pig, Ben.
No, shut up. I didn't even say shut up.
All right, Malcontent. So I think what's happening at this point is I think things are kind of winding down. I know you're kind of looking up there, but I'll just walk over there just so like you're like, oh, there's a bunch of all that's going on is SPD has been gathering up the barricades that were set up, and so they're just moving down the line here. But for all intent and purposes, things are mostly over. And I'm hungry and thirsty. It's not hot, but you know, you're out here on the concrete and it's hot. Just heard the squealing tires. That's why I stopped for a second. Oh my God. Bumpers. Hello there, bumpers. He's more interested in this pumpers.
Police showing out.
All right. More pumpers. Anyway, this is just what's going on. The police are backing up the barricade. Can I pet your dog? Hello there, puppers.
This is the Evening March mascot.
Oh, I've seen you
The Everyday
before.
March mascot. This is
Uh-huh.
Jaja.
This is Jaja. We've seen Jaja on camera
Jaja
before.
the Every Night March
Yeah.
mascot.
Oh my goodness, Jaja, you're so
You'll see
soft.
Jaja at the Every Night March.
You're so soft.
That's her toy. She wants her toy.
She wants her toy.
This is her toy, not mom's
Really?
toy. Yes.
What, does she like pushing around or?
Oh, go get your toy. Yes, she likes to bite it and eat on it.
Oh wow, there's like actual teeth marks to this thing. Oh, so she's young. Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
The feather's more interesting.
Yeah.
You see the girl.
Hello, humans. What are these? Bye, thank you. Anyway, this is really what's going on at this point. So, hey, I'm literally wrapping it up, so just give me like 2 seconds and I'll just... Anyway, Malcontents, that's it. If you like independent media, please go ahead. Also, there's links in there for safety gear for the streamers in general. There's a Venmo. There's a Venmo in there for Everyday March. There's for the EDM crew. There's a Venmo in there for the event crew. If you want to support those organizations, they're there. You can support independent media. There's Venmo, PayNow. You can become a patron. And be sure to like, follow, or subscribe. Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. Particularly YouTube. We need just a handful more followers on YouTube, and we can get rid of the Alphabet Soup URL. So for right now, this is the